And I think the biggest benefit of the scaling up framework has been executing on all the different fronts that the framework covers. Hi, I'm Nakul Toshiwal, Managing Director of Toshvin Analytical Private Limited. We are one of India's largest distributors, sales and service organizations in the area of analytical and laboratory instruments. So we supply fairly high technology equipment to sectors such as pharmaceuticals, chemicals, food, research, and various other applications. And we do the entire value chain with the services of maintenance, repairs, validation services, etc. We have approximately 35 locations across India and about 500 people working in the team with us. As I said, the business has been there for a long time, and we've experienced fairly good growth over the last 10-15 years. But what I realized is that there were challenges as the team grew, as the team size increased, there were challenges in getting the team aligned on the priorities, the specific goals that we needed to achieve, making sure that we're on track on completing and executing on the things that we've decided on. So I actually had attended a program by Bern Harnish several years ago, and I read his book and I implemented some of the elements. But I realized that I didn't have a very deep and comprehensive understanding of it. So I implemented parts of it and I found some effect, some positives coming out of it. But the benefits that I was hoping for in terms of getting everyone aligned and making sure that we're really all working towards the same goal and the same objectives was not really happening. It was happening in bits and pieces. The company was growing, but it was not as smooth and as well aligned as I would have liked it to be. I strongly believe in my business, and I think in most businesses, success is 5% planning and 95% execution. I think that the framework has really helped us in making sure that we are executing on many fronts. And that could mean in terms of keeping track of our priorities, as I mentioned. It could be making sure that we are setting the right goals, that we are aligned, the team is aligned and understands what the challenges are. And by doing that, our execution becomes much more efficient and much more effective. And I think that's the basis of success for any organization, is executing. Anyone can plan, anyone can make strategies, but unless we're executing. And I think the biggest benefit of the scaling up framework has been executing on all the different fronts that the framework covers. The scaling up framework has various tools which an organization implements to kind of change the business and change the trajectory of the business. I would just highlight a couple of them. One is the OPSP, which is the one-page strategic plan, which is it's a very simple document, but it's very comprehensive in the sense that it makes us think about what our 3-year or 5-year goals are, and then works to see what are the most important things that need to be done to achieve those goals, and further breaks that down into then annual and quarterly goals. So there's an annual plan which is aligned with the 3 to 5 year plan. Then there's a quarterly plan that's aligned with it. And along with that, the priorities that need to be completed, who's responsible for them, what are the key challenges, what are the key opportunities. All of that gets captured in this one simple document. And it gives visibility to the entire leadership team about where we're going, where we're headed in 3 years, what we need to do in 1 year, what we need to do in the quarter, all of it aligned towards the longer term plan. And I think that clarity and the simplicity and the clarity both help in aligning the team towards what the company needs to achieve in the long term. So I think that's a really important tool. It sets the foundation and the groundwork for the organization. The other tool is the WWW, which again, as I mentioned earlier, execution is very important for any business. And we take a lot of decisions in the meetings. There are a lot of actions that need to be taken across the organization, and especially by the leadership team. And I think in the past we had this issue of taking decisions, but certain things getting done, certain things getting deferred, certain things just dropping out because they weren't kept track of. The WWW, which is a who, what, when, is a laundry list of all the actions that need to be taken They could be fairly large, they could be just some smaller actions, but they're all working towards achieving our objectives and our goals. And it keeps a very simple track of who's responsible to do what and by when. And we review that every week. We have deadlines which are set, and it helps make sure that everyone is working towards what has been decided and things aren't falling off the map or being forgotten. And therefore, again, it helps in the execution of what we're trying to get done. So I think there's a few things that one should keep in mind before going ahead with the scaling up framework. One is, the whole framework is designed to help companies grow. Scaling up by definition means scaling up the business, increasing the size, increasing the revenues, increasing the team. So there has to be an ambition to grow. There has to be an opportunity to grow for the company. And the framework then can help fulfill the ambitions of the company in terms of growing its business. I think the other one is it's a mindset that is needed to implement a framework or anything new. We have to have an open mindset to do that. Now, maybe for a relatively young business or a new business without a lot of legacy, it may be easier to implement a new framework. For a company like ours, which has a long history, and our leadership team is also quite senior and been with us for many years, we have a certain way of working. And when we look to introduce a new framework, there has to be an openness to accept that framework, to be willing to work through the initial challenges that come from any change or from anything new that gets implemented. Because it's important that everyone sees the benefits and understands that there is value that is going to come from implementing something new. So mindset becomes very important. We can't be stuck to old mindsets, old way of doing things. We have to understand that that there has to be change and growth. The Success Alchemists team has been critical in implementing this framework successfully. As I mentioned earlier, I had attended Vern Harnish's workshop and also read his book, and I had implemented elements of the framework on my own. But I realized that to implement a new framework comprehensively, while we are running our own businesses, while the leadership team is busy with the priorities that need to be achieved, it becomes difficult to actually focus on implementing the new framework. So I actually was looking for an organization or a coach who could help with implementing the framework, and I came across Ajay's profile, and I got in touch with him. And I think since then, working with Ajay and Vikram and team has really ensured that one is the leadership team has understood the framework comprehensively. I think that's the foundation, that we need to understand what the framework is about, what are the elements of the framework. And I think that comprehensive understanding was given by the team. And then, of course, more importantly, once we've understood the framework, implementing the elements of it cannot be done overnight. It requires a certain amount of time, a certain amount of rigor, a certain amount of discipline that needs to be built into the organization to follow through on the framework. I think that is where the Success Alchemist team has really been instrumental in helping the organization, helping me, helping the leadership team, and therefore helping the company implement the framework effectively.